Welcome to our game today where Alexander Alekhine, the world champion, plays a game against a no-name opponent where there was 5 queens on the board at the same time, and yet the most powerful move was not made by any of those queens. Well, how could that be the case, and how did 5 queens get on the board? Well, let's have a look at the game. Alekhine, playing with the white pieces, plays e4. We get e6, the French defense, d4, d5, knight c3, knight f6, bishop to g5, and bishop to b4. And it may look like you just dropped the piece because, as we can see, the knight is pinned to the queen, and after you play e5, you look like you're in big trouble. However, we see that black can play h6, attacking the bishop, while at the same time you're taking the knight. So you take the knight as white, black takes your pawn, you take their pawn, and you're threatening to take the rook or to promote. So rook blocks off on g8. Now in this position we get h4 by Alekhine, and after g takes h4 we get queen to g4. Now as you can see, this is all book theory, but of course Alekhine was playing before this was book theory, so this is why it is book theory, and it is supported by engine analysis. Now he's protecting the pawn on g7 while also attacking the pawn here on h4. So what black does is drops their bishop back to be7, and that protects the pawn. Now here we see Alekhine is trying to get rid of this pawn because if he can play his rook up here to h8 and he is going to win the game. So obviously black avoids that by playing c5. And here Alekhine plays and takes the pawn in h4. And here we get a very interesting and intriguing situation when his opponent plays c takes d4, attacking his knight. But Alekhine wonderfully calculates the following play. He plays h5, sacrificing his knight. So his opponent now takes, and after he plays h6, his opponent takes on b2, looking like he's about to promote here. So obviously white has to protect that by going rook to b1. But of course Alekhine is not out of the woods yet, because we see black has this rather beautiful check with queen to a5. Now don't forget, black is up 4 points of material here. White now plays king to e2, and after queen to a2, which is a mistake. Why is this a mistake? Because it looks like he's about to win a rook, because Alekhine can play h7, and as we can see, there is no escape for black's rook, and white is going to take with check on the next move. Of course, black could try and take this pawn instead, but in the game, black takes b1, and after b1, we get h takes g8 to a queen with check. Now here, black plays king to d7, and after taking the pawn on f7, black's turn to attack now comes because he plays queen to c2, check. King plays to f3, and in this position as black, what would you play? Well, it would seem like the smart move is to promote to a queen. However, if you played that, you would lose the game. It's mate in 4 because white can take the pawn on e6. Black is only left with 2 places to go. If they go to c7, well, then you just lose here, and you can play d7. But after d7, you can play d6. And whether you go here or to here, you then win with the promotion of a checkmate. So rather a little beautiful position. So in this position, black instead plays knights to c6 because promoting would have lost the game. But here he's protecting this bishop. Now, Alekhine actually takes the pawn on e6 anyway, which is a mistake. We get king to c7. So we currently have 3 queens on the board. What's to happen next? Well, we get queen to f4 check. We get king to b6. We get queen to e3 check. Then we get bishop to c5. And after this, we get queen to g8, promotion to a queen. So now black is attacking the queen. And here we see that black decides now to get a second queen. So now we have 1, 2 queens for black. We got 1, 2, 3 queens for white. And we've got a bishop a knight, and a rook for white, and a bishop, a knight, a rook, and another bishop for black. So black is up a clear bishop. In terms of pieces, obviously white has got an extra queen. Now black also has 3 pawns to white's 1 pawn. So with that in mind, the analysis says it's only about plus 1.6 for white, so not an overbearing winning position as you'd imagine with 3 queens on the board. However, the next move here is the most powerful move in the whole game played by Alekhine. Can you find it? And here's a hint, it's not any of the queen moves. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Well, the move is the rather wonderful rook to h6. Brilliant move by pinning the knight to the king. Why is this a brilliant move? Well, because if black takes on f1, the bishop that's left hanging, and black indeed takes this bishop, it is a clear blunder. And the reason it is a blunder is it's because it's now mate in 5, an unstoppable mate in 5, and Alekhine finds the mate in 5. So let's keep in mind, can you find mate in 5? What's the first move in this situation of mate in 5? Well, it's the rather wonderful move of queen to b4 check. Now we're seeing that this is really beautiful. There's going to be a lot of pins, and we're going to see how powerful this rook move really was, because now you've got the rook move that's pinned the knight. So this queen is hanging, but it can't be taken. This queen is hanging, but it can't be taken. So after this, we get queen to b5, only move really, has to be brought back. Any other move just ends in a checkmate quicker. Then we get, can you find the next move in the sequence? Well, it's queen to d8 check. So now you have a third queen which is hanging, and yet it can't be taken. That's the second queen that is blocked from being taken by this rook move earlier in the game. This queen can't take this queen. This bishop can't take this queen or this queen, and the knight can't take any of the 3 queens that are hanging. After here we get a6, followed by a3 check, followed by queen to a4, followed by taking the queen with a check, and after queen takes back in a4, we get the rather wonderful queen to a4 checkmate. So I'm sure you agree, a really wonderful game by Alekhine that shows that even when there's 5 queens on the board, the simple rook can be the most powerful piece.